In one of the most bizarre injury sequences I've seen all year, Zion was forced to leave for the remainder of the game after suffering some sort of injury on this drive late in the game against the Lakers. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at what exactly happened and what could be going on here. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer. My goal in this channel is to help teach you about the medical side of the sports world. Now, at the time of recording this, the game has just ended. We're still awaiting updates here about what in the world is going on with Zion. So we're going to just kind of walk through this play and talk more about kind of what I'm thinking, possibilities, but more so just how this whole situation is handled in terms of the evaluation. As I'm watching this whole sequence here, I'm trying to see any moment where he either hesitates, where he grabs at something. When we talk about knee injuries, which would be a significant thing that would obviously keep him from coming back into the game, I'm looking to see if there's any clear, obvious cut, pivot, land, where we see any sort of shift or movement forward in the bones of the joints to suggest something like an ACL. And so that's the type of stuff that we're trying to look at here as we watch this sequence. And to be honest, I don't see anything clear and obvious. When he cuts here, there was one moment where potentially nothing there, maybe right in this position where he steps and lands. I really wish there was a different angle to try and see if there's any sort of a shift here in his right knee, because this is a position where we've seen players injure their ACL or tear their ACL as you land on that semi-extended right knee. I don't see any clear shift forward in the tibial tuberosity. So a position where potentially I'd be concerned about maybe checking the knee ligaments, checking for something like an ACL. We don't see any sort of an ankle twist or an ankle sprain. Even as he comes down, it doesn't look like he lands anywhere near another player where we'd be dealing with a significant ankle twist type of an injury. And also, as Zion is walking back to the locker room, I can't really tell necessarily what side he's even limping on. So I'll be honest, just looking at this whole sequence, it's really darn hard to see anything clear, anything obvious where we see a joint shift, where we see something pop. I certainly, again, don't see any sort of like snap up like an Achilles injury, but based on how things were handled, you think it probably had to have been something fairly significant, because otherwise they would have brought him back into the game. So next we'll dive into just the general logistics of how an evaluation like this takes place and why I'm concerned it's something significant that could have him done for the rest of the season. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. This video is sponsored by Football Head Coach. Football Head Coach is an NFLPA licensed game. It involves simulated matches, improvement of your roster, and collecting all the famous NFL players. I've got a pretty decent roster here. Check out my tight ends, everything looking pretty good right there. Now my team looks pretty decent, but I got beat pretty bad last game, and so I want to do some stuff to upgrade my roster. I can do that by opening packs, playing matches, buying players on the open market, or participate in player trade challenges. So I'm going to go in and get a new pack of players here, and we'll see who I get. So pretty solid, a great upgrade for me at quarterback. On defense, once I have those new players, I can head into my team roster and go into where I've got opportunities to make some upgrades. Let's say here at cornerback, we're going to go ahead and switch that to put in my overall higher rated player to hopefully improve my team for the next game. And I think my roster fits a little bit more of a rushing style, so we're gonna favor that on my defensive mindset. You then play a simulated game where you go against another team and you can see all the different scoring plays. You can fast forward through just to see the result. And then based on the final result of the game, you can determine if you want to make any adjustments to your player roster or maybe change some of those tactics before the next game. Scan the QR code on screen right now to head to either the App Store or Google Play to download Football Head Coach today. So let's put ourselves in this situation. Let's say I'm the team doc. I'm covering. I think it was even a tied game with 3 minutes left, and your star player comes out and has some sort of injury. The first thing that's going to prompt you to, first of all, take them back to the locker room is what they tell you. So whenever Zion is sitting on the bench here with this whole sequence, presumably he told the medical staff something there on the bench that made them say, we've got to take you back and we have to evaluate you. There's also concern there that you're thinking we need to go back into the locker room to get an x-ray because maybe something could have been broken. Remember, Zion dealt with a really long time, that fifth metatarsal fracture in the foot, potentially something in that regard. But you aren't taking your star player out of the game with 3 minutes left unless you are truly concerned that it is something major that you absolutely have to get that x-ray or you have to take them back and evaluate. So right away you're thinking this needs to be something serious unless it's like a cut or a head injury evaluation, which we certainly did not see. Next, when you take them back to the locker room, you're going to be doing a basic ligament stability exam. So for example, if he felt a pop in his knee, there might be worried about the ACL. You're going to test the integrity of the ACL. That takes maybe 15 seconds to do a thorough ligament exam to look for a significant ligament injury, no matter what joint you're talking about. So then you're going to get an x-ray. An x-ray, again, presumably by the time they walk him back there was enough media timeouts. You should be able to get a quick x-ray. And again, you're not going to go get the x-ray unless you're truly worried that something is broken, because you're going to do everything you can to try and keep the athlete out there on the court in that close of a game. So I think the possibilities here are that either they saw something broken on an x-ray, or there's some type of significant joint ligamentous injury, because otherwise there's no reason they would have not let him go back out in the game. Even if they were worried he might have like a meniscus tear potentially, that's still a situation where, given this scenario, you're going to let them try and go play and try and get back out there. So the only reason that the medical staff or I would say, no, you cannot go back out there on the court, is if there's some sort of fracture that I know you can't play through, or I know you have some serious ligament or tendon injury, not just some bump and bruise. I'm going to do my assessment. If ligaments feel okay, everything feels stable, I'm not worried about a fracture, you're getting back out there as quickly as possible. And so the fact that we didn't see Zion come back out after leaving the court worries me that this is something significant, especially since we haven't found out yet what the reports are. The two things that would be on my list, just knowing his history, seeing what we see on the play here, potentially something like an ACL in the knee, or possible refracture of that fifth metatarsal that he was dealing with before. Okay, future Brian here. As I was about to edit this, we got an update from Willie Green that it's left leg soreness. Very non-specific, really not all that helpful. Theoretically, the leg could be anything from the foot to the knee to the hip. And the nice thing, at least, is I believe his metatarsal fracture was the right side. And so hopefully that makes something like that less likely, of course. The only real view significant thing that we can see with Zion's left leg is as he kind of lands down here from this play, lands, comes up. Of course, we're looking at that left side. Maybe a little bit of excessive dorsiflexion there where the ankle is kind of brought up towards his knee. You can see right there, if we zoom in, of course, his tibia going in that direction, foot right there. This is going to put some stress on the Achilles. Maybe Zion felt some sort of a pull, some sort of a pop in the Achilles on the backside there of the leg. Again, though, that's something, if he had an Achilles rupture, you would know about it pretty much right away. And so unless the Pelicans are just trying to be coy about it, I, again, am still concerned that something significant has happened, because you would be able to assess these things right away. And if it was not a major injury, you'd have him back out there. So hearing now this update about left leg soreness, again, that could be knee, that could be a tendon, that could be his Achilles based on how we see him land here. But I think the bottom line is how this whole sequence unfolded. We've got to be concerned that it's something significant that could very likely have him out for the next play-in game. So that's it for this initial. So that's it for the initial look at this just whole confusing sequence. I know a lot of you probably refreshing, waiting to see my comments and thoughts on this. So let's just get something out there. We still haven't heard any word. We're now 7 minutes in the first quarter in the second game, and we still haven't heard official words. So again, I'm worried that this is something significant that happened to Zion. Let me know, as always, any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.